Hi, and welcome to a Learning Torque video tutorial. Today we are going to be looking at a very simple cube with a couple of animations, and then we're going to export that using Collada to the Torque 3D game engine, and then I'm going to show you in a second video how to use the animations inside of a Collada object or model. So let's get started. Here you can see I've got a simple cube. I'm using Blender 2.62 by the way, and it's just a plain old cube, nothing special or anything like that. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the camera and the light source because I don't want them exporting into my Collada model. You can have lights and stuff in there depending on how you got your model set up and everything, but for this simple demonstration we're not worried about it. All we're worried about is the animation part. So here we got our cube, and I'm going to select my cube, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run over here to the material tab and add a new material, and let's make it a nice green color. That's pretty nice. Add a green color to it, and we're going to add a texture, and we're going to call this cube text, and we're just going to use the clouds, and go back here to our material again. You can see our texture. Let's use the cube. Oops, cube. So this is how our cube should look, with the exception of it's got the green in it. And now we're going to go over here and we're going to go into edit mode by hitting tab, and we're going to hit the select button to make sure that even though we have it selected, that Blender knows that it's a selected thing. Change this material to cube, and we're going to assign this material to this cube. Alrighty, and come back over here and get out of edit mode. Now we're going to go down here to the viewport shading and set for texture, and there's our green glowy cube looking thing. Alright, so now let's do some animation for this thing. What we're going to do is we're going to set automatic keyframing, record, and over here I'm going to let's move this so that you can actually see what this is. Here where it's got the pictures of the two keys, we're going to select location, rotation, and scaling. That way when I insert a keyframe, I don't have to select what kind I want. It automatically be set that way in Blender for location, rotation, and scaling. So we're starting off. The first thing we want to do before we move anything is hit the I key to insert a new keyframe, and you see up here it's successfully added 9 keyframes, and it's set the keyframe at 0. And this first little animation I'm only going to make to 40 frames. So let's select frame 40. If I can get my mouse to work here. There we go. We can see right here it says 40 cubes, so we're on frame 40, and down here you can also manually type it in. And I'm going to hit insert again. That way my beginning and ending frame will be where the cube has started with no rotation or anything to it. Now I'm going to go here on frame 10, and I'm just going to grab this cube and move him over here and insert a frame. Then I'm going to go to frame 20, and I'm going to grab my cube here and move him up, and let's move him over this way a little and move him back that way some, and I'm going to insert a frame there. And then at frame 30 That's 29. There's 30. I'm going to move him over here, way over here, and way back here, and I'm going to drop him down below the plane, and we're going to insert a frame there. So, okay, so now we got 40 frames with 5 keyframes inserted, and we're going to rewind, and we're going to watch what our cube does with the little play button here. Oh, look at that, zips right around. Pause him, rewind him. Alright, cool. Now, the way Blender works, to my understanding, is it will bake the animations, because we're going to have to bake this to export it in Collada. It's going to bake the information between the keyframes that are set. But when it finds a large blanked area, it will not bake that because there's no changes being made to the frames. Basically, anywhere where there's no changes being made to the position of the object, there's no animation being done, and therefore Blender does not bake that into the animation. So now we're just going to skip up here to frame 60. Okay. And I'm going to insert a keyframe here, and I'm just going to go to frame 80. Oop, there we go. Now let's go to frame 100 because it's easier to remember. Let's go to frame 100. 100. There we go. Insert a keyframe there. Now I'm going to go right here at 70. If I can get it to go to 70. My mouse just don't like me, I guess. And I'm going to hit rotate, and I'm going to spin my cube around like that. And then I'm going to insert a keyframe. Then I'm going to go up here to 80, and I'm going to hit rotate and spin him around like that, and hit a keyframe, insert a keyframe. And then I'm going to go up here to 90, and I'm just going to go to the top view so I get a little bit different rotation, and hit rotation here and spin him around like that, and insert a keyframe there. Alrighty. So let's go back down here. So look at our plane. Let's see what we got going. Alright, so now if I come back to here and hit play, you'll see our little cube spin around some. Alright. So let's rewind. Alright. This could be a character for your game. This could be the idle state. This could be the walk state. We could have a big old bunch of frames here for strafing left, another for strafing right, jumping, all kinds of stuff. So here what we need to do now is go to our object and go to animation and go here where it says bake action. Now you notice our last frame was 100, so we only want to bake 100 frames into this. So bake action. Our start frame is 1. Our ending frame will be 100. There we go. We want the frame to step 1 frame at a time. Okay. This right here, if you only wanted to if you left the lights and the camera in there and you only wanted the selected object, in our case the cube, to be animate, to be baked in, then this will let you do that. Or if you had let's say a lot of lighting and stuff, and as it moved around, it moved between different lights, so it picked up different brightnesses and different shades and everything, you could uncheck this and everything in the scene will be baked into this animation. We don't have any poses because there's no bones, so we don't want poses. We want to do the object itself. So we'll take care of get rid of the pose and just select the object, and we're going to say OK. Now you notice we got a bunch of little yellow lines here for our first animation. Nothing in here because we did no movements or anything, and then we have a bunch of yellow lines to show the baked animation for the spinning cube. So now we can come in here and select, because if we export this right now, it's going to export 250 frames. We don't want 250 frames. We just want our 100 frames. So we can set this for 100. Move your cursor right here, arrow right here, and hit E for end frame. And you see it got rid of all these extra useless blank space. And so now we have animations from here, a blank space, and animations here. This blank space is important. You must have a blank space. Well, you really don't have to have a blank space. Okay, let me tell you, because the way Torque does this import, blank spaces aren't required. I like the blank spaces because it helps me to tell where one animation starts and ends, and the next animation starts and ends. In this case, my first animation starts at 0, ends at 40. My second animation starts at 60, ends at 100. Okay, so we're going to go up here to File and Export Collada. And I'm going to throw this into my animation test directory on Torque. Where'd you go? Animation test directory on Torque. I'm sorry, you can see here it says Torque 3D. And we're going to call this QB, something like that. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And hit OK, hit enter, and then we need to export it because it's not exported until you tell it to export it. So export it. So now this object has been exported, and then I'm going to go in here and say save as in Blender, and I'm just going to call this put this in the Blender animation test. I'm going to save this as NI test, and then say save. Okay, that way I can come back and add more frames of animation or whatever I want to do to this. So for right now, I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to set up Torque to show you what to do in Torque.